Hello everyone, it's Amanda. It's the 25th of March 2019. How are you all doing? Another week coming up, and following on from my last video that I made, which was linked into, well, it turned into a reading which was looking at a lot of changes that feel as though they're going to be coming in towards April time, and indeed during April. We had the, I want to say the preliminary findings of the Mueller report last night on Sunday. And I'm saying that because even though it's been summarised, you know, the overall findings, and it's exonerated Trump from any collusion with Russia, as an example, and he's very happy about that. The truth is that the report took 2 years to compile, so there is going to be a lot of detail that we don't yet actually know, and that's going to be coming out over the next few weeks, maybe months. And I have a firm feel that there are more twists and turns to come, let's put it that way. My guidance for Donald Trump, is, if he was to be watching this, which I'm sure he won't be, would be to just rein it in a little bit, actually, because, and also to people that may be supporters. And I'll tell you why. And this also applies to people in other countries. It very much applies to the UK as well, which is there is an energy in town at the moment which is about do not rub salt into an open wound. Okay, heard that expression before, I'm sure. And it can apply to anybody, either side of the political divide, which is don't pour salt onto an open wound. There are people in our societies at the moment. We're living increasingly in very divided societies. And I've been saying for a long time that there's an awful lot of similarities between the USA and the UK at the moment in terms of what's going on in the collective energy. But I'm sure also it's applicable to other countries around the world. But if we take the UK and the USA as two examples, you've basically got divided countries. In the UK, we're divided on Brexit, pretty much 50-50, give or take a couple of percent, but it's pretty much split in half. And in the USA, there is the division that has been caused by Trump, and you either love him or you hate him, and there doesn't seem to be an awful lot in the middle. My last video that I did was very much asking us to look for the middle way, and I think that's still very good advice. And so therefore, if we're looking for the middle way, when things happen and when the various twists and turns start to materialise, and that's going to increase going forward, not just with regard to Trump, but not just with regard to Brexit, but with regard to many situations around the world, because we're in very, very volatile times where we have to be fluid. Things are changing on not even a day-by-day basis, they're actually changing on an hour-by-hour basis. So you can find yourself on one day on the up, and on the next day, a piece of information or news might come in that completely tips the scales the other way again. So it's really important to try and keep equilibrium. And as I say, follow the middle way. And as much as we can, not rub the salt in open wounds. Because the open wound is basically the other half of the population who are not feeling the same as you. So whether you're elated with the findings of the Mueller report that have been announced so far, or whether you're in the depths of despair with it, realise that, again, we've got these two very extreme emotions that need handling very carefully, whichever camp that you're in. If you're in the camp that is feeling victorious, as I say, it's about not going into over-the-top dramatics about we told you so type energy. If you're in the camp that's just feeling completely and utterly disappointed, disgusted, whatever, It's very much about then not going on the rampage and the attack. Somehow we have to find the middle way. It's exactly the same with regard to what's going on in the UK at the moment. I don't know how much, you know, you follow it if you're in different countries around the world, but certainly, you know, within the next week, 2 weeks, possibly 3-week period, I said this last time, I'm sure, but we're into totally and utterly uncharted water. And at the moment, it's looking like we will leave on the new date, which is sometime in June, I think. Is it June the 12th? I think it might be June the 12th. And there will be a camp on that day that feel very victorious, but there will also be another half of the population that just feel very flat, very deflated. So again, middle way is going to be important. But equally, if you take the UK as an example, I'm not saying it will, but it could turn on its head just as quickly. There could be something that comes in that throws the whole thing into new uncharted territory, whether that be a general election, whether that be another referendum, and then those that are on the losing side, as it were, suddenly then would become victorious if they won another referendum or an election changed something. But again, we've got the same problem on our hands. There will still be another half of the population that are then feeling pretty pissed off, okay? So it's just so important right now, I think, to try not to be triggered. I know it's so difficult because they're emotive subjects that we're talking about here, and none of us are perfect. But the other thing I think is quite interesting is with the UK and the USA, we're talking about a 2-year time period. It's the same time period. The Mueller report took 2 years to compile. It's just, you know, the preliminary findings, as I say in the summary, was announced yesterday, taking the USA into a completely new energy. The UK referendum on Brexit took place 2 years ago. We're just about again to reach crunch time, okay? So I don't know, the last 2 years has just been very, very interesting, and it's as though we're building up to a point. And one of you on my YouTube channel, I read all your comments, by the way, thank you very much for them, but one of you put a comment on my last video and you said something along the lines of, we were reaching times where there was a deluge of catalysts about to happen. And I really think that's a fantastic phrase, a deluge of catalysts, because that's exactly where we're at. And note, I say catalysts, not catalyst, okay? It feels as though there are many different events that are going to be transpiring over the next 4 to 6 weeks in particular, which are really going to be rocking us, good, bad, indifferent, but rocking us. So it's a bit like being on the roller coaster ride, but being ready for it to sort of, you know, toss and turn a little bit, making sure that you're in your seatbelt, that you're in your seat with your seatbelt on, and that you also realise that at the end of the day, it is just a ride that we're on. You know, it's pretty much true of life, actually. We're all on this journey together. And sometimes we can forget the bigger picture, you know, that actually we're all in this together, whatever our political leanings, wherever we come from, wherever we're going to, we're all actually partaking of the same experiment, which is basically that we are a soul that has come down and wants to be in a physical body to experience what that is like. Not only that, because you've probably done that many times before in past lives, you're coming back now to be a soul in a body to experience this particular pivotal time in human nature where everything is meant to be a bit all over the place, because we're in transition, and transition is never smooth. So the best thing that we can do is learn how to be flexible and to flow and to be flexible. Again, another person in the comments put something alluding to the element of air, because I've talked a lot about the fact that air as an element seems to be missing when I do readings or you know, it goes back to the fact that the sprays that I sell, air was the least popular last year. We've talked about that. And somebody said, isn't it interesting, because what is air trying to teach us? Air is trying to teach us to ride the thermals, you know, to ride the thermals. And very much like an aeroplane does, when it starts to get bumpy and turbulent, what the plane doesn't do is just stay in the worst turbulence. The plane needs to find a different altitude where it is smoother. And that might be slightly lower, it might be slightly higher, but it's about trying to find the vibration which is the smoothest to flow through. Whilst around us there are things in the news, things in our communities, things in our own lives that are rattling us, okay? And as I say, sometimes you're going to be on the side, and that's a very human 3D construct as well, talking about sides. But sometimes you'll be on the side that feels like it's winning, and sometimes you're going to be on the side where it actually feels a bit flat and, you know, not so great. But in the wider context of life, you actually have to experience all of it, okay? So, yeah, that just sort of came from nowhere. A few things to say then, going back to last night, going back to the Mueller report coming out. The first thing that struck me was that I was very, very surprised at the timing of it. Now, we haven't seen the full report yet, and I don't know when that is going to arrive on, you know, people's desks anytime soon. This was just the summary. I don't know whether it had been leaked. Had it been leaked? Because it feels like that wasn't meant to be the timing of it. The timing feels very strange to me. A 2-year report, which has obviously got numerous pages to go through, cannot be digested in a matter of hours. And certainly, you know, William Barr, he'd only had it for hours. He hadn't had it for weeks. So I was really, actually, I'd been sitting back on it thinking, oh, I'll probably have to do a video and come back to this subject in a couple of weeks' time. So last night it was like, whoa, okay, that's from left field. But in a way, that's very much like the energy at the moment. It's like, expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected in terms of timing, expect the unexpected in terms of events. And we just need to, get ready for this. This is the way it's going to be for a few weeks yet. And we need to learn to ride the waves. But the timing certainly was just, felt very strange to me that it had come out so quickly. What else did I think? Let me just breathe for one moment and just take myself back. Yeah, when I say the energy felt off with it, I'm not necessarily saying in terms of the conclusion, because I do respect Robert Mueller. I looked into his energy 3-4 months ago, and the one thing I do remember that I said on that video was that I felt he was a man of integrity and that he would get to the truth. And if the truth is that there just isn't enough evidence to prove something one way or another, then whether you like it or not, that is the truth. He was never going to be a man who came in and made things up or created something or manipulated something. He was always presented to me as somebody who was quite analytical, cool, rational, and who was just prepared to sift through the facts that were presented to him at the time that they were presented over the last 2 years. Now, it's quite hard to comment further on that because, as I say, the full report has not yet been released. And I do sense very strongly, as I say, that there are going to be further twists and turns in that. And I definitely feel, as I say, if I was Trump, I wouldn't be coming out too strongly victorious at this stage, because I feel as though there are other chapters to unravel, okay? And we will just see what that means in the coming weeks and in the coming months. And if you think that I'm saying that just because I want to come on here and bash Trump, I really don't actually. Over the last 2 years, probably like many of you, I've probably experienced a whole range of emotions with regard to him, because that's what he's meant to do for us. He's meant to get us to look at our reactions, to look into our own light and our own dark, to look at why he triggers us. I would also say actually to also look at, if you're idolizing him and putting him on a pedestal, you also need to look at that as well, because I don't actually think that is healthy either. I don't think it's healthy to ever put anybody on a pedestal, whether they're a politician, a rock star, or your partner. Because what you tend to find, and what you'll always find, is that everybody is flawed to a degree. And that's true of you, it's true of me, it's true of Donald Trump, it's true of all of them. So putting people on pedestals and idolizing them is not a good energy either. And in fact, what you do by that is you start to disempower yourself a little bit as well, because by putting somebody on a pedestal, what you're doing is you're putting them higher than yourself. And that's not a good energy to be in either. So Trump, for all his many reflections, is about helping us to look at ourselves. If we dislike him, if he triggers us, we need to be looking at that. And equally, if we think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread and the answer to the world's problems, we also need to be looking at that, because that also won't be the truth. The truth will be somewhere in the middle, okay? The middle way. So I thought what I would do is I'd come on and I'll pull some cards. I'll just see what we get. I actually feel quite neutral about this whole subject, I have to be honest now. And why is that? Maybe it's just been going on so long, to be perfectly honest. I'm somebody who, my general character is, I sort of like change. And if I ever stay on one subject for too long, it can get a bit boring. So I must admit, you know, I don't want to be looking at Donald Trump every day, or, you know, it's just not my thing. But I am going to come back into it and just look at it now, because I know a lot of people are feeling upset. I will say something about feeling upset at this point, because this isn't about me, but it's about some of my other friends on YouTube. And what I noticed last night was that when the news came through that Trump had been exonerated, I was on YouTube, I was just watching somebody's video. And as it came on that, you know, he'd been vindicated and all of that, I know there's a few people who do similar work to this who featured Robert Mueller very heavily over the last few months. You know, almost like looking at it certainly every month, if not every week. A couple in particular. And I went back and I had a look just at those videos. And straight away I could see that they were getting trolled. There were some really vicious comments coming in from people because they had got it wrong. And I'm just going to read one out. I'm not going to say whose channel this is, because I think this is all learning for all of us, actually. Let me just read. There's just one. I mean, there's so many comments, but here's one. Where is it? So somebody straight away went onto this person's channel and they've written phony, psycho, psychic liar. Phony, psycho, psychic liar. If that was my channel, you would have been deleted and blocked within 30 seconds. I think that is completely and utterly unacceptable. What does it achieve by spewing that sort of hate at somebody? Because the person whose channel this is will have been doing their best. Ultimately, most people that are probably out there on YouTube, not everybody, but most people who are out there trying to guide and trying to support are doing it from usually the right place. Not everybody, I know not everybody, but most people are. And it takes a lot of guts to actually get in front of a camera and give an opinion on any of these controversial subjects, because you always do get shot down in flames. I haven't actually received it myself today. I might get it with this video, fair enough. But the point is that I just think we need to be better than that. We need to be better than that. The thing about the air element, we need to remember to breathe. That person that went straight on within, I don't know, minutes of the report findings coming out and has accused this person of being a phony psychic liar, who probably also has watched many of this person's videos and maybe got something from it over the years. If they'd only have just taken a deep breath, you know, and actually worked on their own frustration and their own anger and their own disappointment, rather than throwing it at somebody else, it would have been so much better, wouldn't it? I think it's very, and I'm not talking for anybody else here, any other YouTuber, everyone, they're more than able to talk for themselves. But I will say my own perspective on this, because I'm sure there are things in my Robert Mueller video that probably are contrary to what came out in that summary last night. Is this, firstly, I feel that we're moving away from the era of psychics to something far deeper. And that's not dissing people that are psychics, hear me out. I'm talking about the new spirituality, teachings and sessions and mentoring and support with regard to the new energies are about trying to help steer people and, yes, give guidance, and sometimes absolutely have to give an opinion. But very much it's to do with, this is how it looks on this particular day. We're in 5D. Increasingly, we're in 5D. We're moving away from third dimensional energy where everything was very, very rigid. You could take a subject, whether it be politics or whether it be your personal life in terms of your relationship with your husband and wife. And in 3D, it was much easier because what happened was, say it's a relationship, you could look at it, so here you are, here's your partner, and you could do a reading and it would be pretty much, you know, you still got free will, but it looks like you're going in this direction. It's a straight line, you know, based on today, this is what looks like it's going to happen. It was more, there was a more rigid energy, more structured. You did have free will, but the power of being able to manifest other realities was not as great as it is now. In 5D, when somebody comes and has a session, or you look on YouTube for a reading, whether it's about love, whether it's about anything else, what you're doing is you're dipping into it at that particular moment in time, knowing that there are many variations, there are many paths, there are many ways that it can develop from that. It isn't any longer about going from A to B. It's about, well, B may very well be the destination, but we might go in a very strange way, and we might get into different timelines as well, and different realities, and the will of the person, the people, consciousness can change it like that, literally like that. And you must have seen that in your own lives. I mean, I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in my client's life. You think you're just going along a certain path and it's like, yeah, you know, based on where I am now, that's exactly where I'm going to end up. And then tomorrow you wake up and it's just completely and utterly different. That's 5D. That's how quickly things can change and shift. And yes, it's actually very difficult to get a handle on it, but by God, it's exciting. And I would prefer it to be like that than actually go back to the old ways of sort of like, yeah, okay, we can pretty safely predict that XYZ is going to happen based on ABC being in the recipe. It just doesn't work like that anymore. So rather than be frustrated and think, well, why hasn't things come true or whatever, try to just view it in terms of expanded consciousness. It was interesting today. I went down to the shops, had to post a parcel off, somebody's birthday tomorrow, and I went into this post office. It's near where my mum lives, and admittedly I don't go there that often anymore, but I've definitely been in there within the last 4 or 5 months. I definitely have. And the whole shop had been completely and utterly transformed. I mean, really different. So I'm quite chatty, you know, to people. And so when it was my turn, I went up to the post lady and I said, oh, it's really nice here, isn't it? I said, it must be nice for you to have, you know, a change of shop. It looks really good. And she said, well, it's been like this for 2 years. I thought, 2 years? I've definitely been into that shop. I have definitely been into that shop since 2 years. And I nearly thought about challenging her and saying, no, you're wrong. And I thought, she works here, Amanda. She knows that it's 2 years ago. So there was something in that moment where I just knew, as bonkers as it sounds, I knew there was a timeline thing going on. Because it was like, there was no way I haven't been in there for 2 years. I have. And it didn't look like that. It's just one example. And again, try and switch off the rational mind, because I did. I went out of the shop and for a few minutes I was like, what? I don't understand that. What's just happened there? And then I just thought, let it go. Let it go. You don't need to understand that. That was literally just like a sliding doors moment. You know, the film Sliding Doors. Something just happened then, and I have no rational explanation for it. Anyway, so yeah, let's just try and realise that when we are looking at these subjects that are extremely difficult, very complex, we are also in 5D where things are shifting all the time, that we're going to do our best, basically. But don't look up to the guru, you know, seated on some pedestal to tell you all the answers. I think sometimes that's where the hatred tends to come in, when you do get people coming on and being a bit abusive about it, you know, you're wrong, whatever. It's like, okay, I was wrong. On this instance, I was wrong. Where were you on it? You know, it's like, where were you on it? What did you think? So that being said, let's move on. I will just mention here, I don't know whether I've already said this on this video. I've tried to make this video a couple of times today and it wasn't happening. But it is happening now. But there was another comment that came in, and you see, I learn from the comments. I do read your comments, and I think about what things people say as well, because somebody had obviously watched the video I did maybe a year ago on Justin Trudeau. Yeah, I did about a year ago. And the comment came in and it said something like, oh, this video isn't going to stand the test of time. You know, blah, blah, blah. This is what's happening now. And I couldn't help myself. I replied and I said, it's not meant to stand the test of time. It's meant to be a snapshot view of what the energy was like 11 months ago. Of course things have changed, you know, because otherwise you're denying people the right to evolve and grow, make mistakes. I'm talking here about political leaders as an example, you know. You can't ever look at one person's energy and think, okay, that's the defining energy for their whole life. Think about you. Think about your life. Think about what your energy felt like, looked like, I don't know, 2 years ago. Are you the same person now? Would you make the same choices now as you did 2 years ago? The truth is no. So I just feel as though it's all rich learning, you know, what's going on in YouTube land at the moment. But I do ask you to be kind to people. As I say, I'm not defending myself here because I haven't had any unkindness, but there's been a lot of it on other people's channels. And I just think it's just not needed. The other thing, as a mum here, you know, I'm used to taking a bit of flack now when it does come in, but I always think about, you know, my children, and when they're a little bit older, and if they did not similar, maybe they're just on YouTube, and you know, those of us who are of a certain age, we're parents basically, just think about whether you'd like your child to receive the type of comments you might, without taking a deep breath and thinking about it, direct to somebody else. There's always a human being behind the screen, you know, and they're not going to be perfect, and they're sometimes going to get it right and they're sometimes going to get it wrong. And I think the one thing I have learned with regard to YouTube land is that most of us come on because we're also trying to make sense of it ourselves. And if we help you, great. And if we don't, no problem, move on. Right, let's do some cards. What to ask? Should we have a look at Barr? Because he's the energy that sort of feels as though he's changed it. Just because, well, he's not been in the equation before. So let's have a look at Barr, William Barr. I'll just bring his photograph up. I must admit, I was looking at his photograph earlier, and do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Elton John. He looks a bit like Elton John to me. I don't think it's just the glasses. He's got a face a bit like Elton John. And then I heard the song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And I don't know whether that means anything, but I do think it might mean something, actually. I feel as though there was an energy with him. Maybe this was totally and utterly subconscious, where he didn't want to be the one to bring down the sun, i.e. the presidency. So even if there had been something in the report, I think he would have really struggled with that. Anyway, let's just have that's just an observation more than anything. Let's just pull his photograph up, actually. William P. Barr. There he is, against the flag. He's got a kind face. There's something in his eyes that I can't quite make out. I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I just can't quite work it out. He certainly doesn't believe in this stuff that I'm doing. I'm feeling that straight away. Whoa. Okay. Do I have your permission to look? Do I have your permission to look, sir? Do I have your permission to look? Where's my pendulum? William Barr. Do I have permission to look? See that, guys? Back and forth. He doesn't want me to go into his energy. You're going to think that's a real cop-out. I know you are. But I can't do it. If I haven't got permission, I can't do it. I'm looking at his photograph and I'm feeling as though the energy coming from him to me is he's looking on me. Some of you might agree with this. It's like he's thinking, what an idiot. Go on, say it if you want to, I don't care. I don't have his permission to read him. How interesting. Okay, has that happened before? I'm not sure it has. You'll probably be able to tell me more than that, whether I can't remember another politician that said no. I'll just double check with Metatron, but I don't think I've... Do I have permission to go into William Barr's energy? That's a straight backwards and forwards, that's a no. That's my no response, okay? Do I have permission to go into Robert Mueller's energy? Yes. Okay. Maybe we're just not meant to know something yet. I don't know. Let's have a look at Mueller then. Sorry guys, I'm not going to go into people's energy if I don't have permission. And that's about asking their higher self's permission. For some reason there's a no. It may very well be oh, interesting cards have just fallen out with Mueller. It may well just be a timing thing. I don't know. Let me just ask, is it a timing thing? Is it a timing thing? Can you see that? That's a yes. It's a timing thing. For some reason, I can't today. I don't know. Right, I was thinking about Robert Mueller. And these two cards just fell out of the pack, which is the cards of the High Priestess and the Four of Cups. There's a feeling of... It's not sadness. I mean, that is a card of sadness, the Four of Cups usually. He's there and he's looking forlorn. I'm actually feeling a sense of, you know, like a balloon when it's totally deflated. That's the energy I'm feeling. But it's next to the card of the High Priestess. Let's have another two cards. Robert Mueller. Tell me just what we need to know, or what we're allowed to know, Metatron. You just spray the orange. The card's just fallen out. Hold on. What's that? Ooh. Where's it gone? Oh, right. Oh, better than going to the gym, isn't it? Right. The World. That just fell out of the pack. Just as I was asking Metatron. Let me just spray my orange flame spray. Robert Mueller. What is the message? We've got three cards. Let's have one more. Robert Mueller. The Eight of... what is that? The Eight of Wands. The World card to me is just like he's really glad to see the back of it. I mean, I guess if you've been doing this for 2 years, you've had 2 years of your life taken up with this report, you're probably exhausted. I'm hearing just wants to wash his hands of it. Whether he can or not is a completely different matter. But the World is very much about, yeah, I finished it. I'm on to the next cycle. Followed by the Eight of Wands. I'm washing my hands of it. I'm on to the next cycle. What am I now aiming at? Maybe I need one more card. What is he aiming at? Let's ask, what is he aiming at? What is Robert Mueller aiming at? So we've got the High Priestess. It feels like he has been guided by spirit during this process. He's left feeling deflated for some reason. I also feel, never noticed that on that card before. You see that? That's the Four of Cups. Can you see that little wispy cloud? That feels like a thought. It's like something that's got away from him. It's almost like an afterthought. Even though he wants to move on from it, and is moving on from it, it's finished, it's over. There's this almost like afterthought. What if, you know, I don't know, it's just something there. It's that type of energy, you know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh my God, I didn't ask about blah, blah, blah. That's the energy that I'm getting with that. Weird. Okay, what's he aiming at now then, Metatron? So, High Priestess, he's been guided by spirit over the last 2 years. Look at that. The High Priestess is card number 2. Over the last 2 years, he's been guided by spirit. He's feeling deflated, but yet he's also got this sort of like, oh, why didn't I? Or something is left. There's a strand. There's a strand that's still there. But it's too late. The cups are spilt. Moving on, finished. But I'm firing something off into the distance. What's he aiming at? Or what's he got his eye on? What's he aiming? Okay. He isn't looking at anything else at them. It's weird. We've got the Eight of Pentacles. He wants to move on. You know, it's finished, it's over. I want to just drive away from the whole thing. But yet he's aiming at something. What's he aiming at? He's still looking back at his work. He's still looking back at it, even though he doesn't want to. It's like there's a job. He feels like there's a job well done. But yet, why can't he walk away from it? It may well be that it's because he's going to be called back to have to testify with regard to aspects of it. I suspect it's probably that. I think it's that. So I would imagine that the Democrats won't let it go, you know, and that he will be called to testify or talk in some arena, and he's having to revisit it then. Let's pull one other card from a different deck for Robert Mueller, and I'm pulling a card from the Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor. Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Strategy. I wonder. I said to you, there's something off with the timing of this. And there's something that just doesn't feel intrinsically right to me about, you know, it's done, it's over, vindication, move on. The card of strategy. He's playing a long game. He's logged absolutely everything. That says journal log. 21 comes up twice. Card number 21, which is the world, and we've got card number 21 again. 2 and 1 add to 3. Oh, we keep getting the 3 energy all the time, don't we? I talked about that in my last video. 3 and 3 make 33. 33 equals the Christ energy. We're back into Easter time. I just think there's something else to come. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's that 33 energy. 21, 2 and 1 equals 3 times 2. Give me your interpretation on those two cards. I'd be very interested to hear what you've got to say. The world and strategy. Okay, I'm going to now have a look at Trump. Let's put these cards back in the deck, give them a shuffle. Just going to close my computer down because I've got William Barr looking at me here, and I don't know what's going on with his energy, but we're not allowed to look at it today. So I'm closing you down, sir. I've never called somebody sir either on a video before, and I wasn't doing that in a mocking way. I felt like I needed to call him sir. It's like he was expecting me to call him sir. I haven't got a problem with that. It's just unusual. Just shuffle the cards and let's look at Trump. Let's just see where... Well, no, I'm not even going to say where Trump is. Let's just see what Spirit wants us to know, okay? A message from Spirit with regard to Trump. Message from Spirit with regard to Trump. Let's just shuffle them 3 times. Okay, so Metatron, Donald Trump. He's feeling quite buoyant today. So he's been vindicated. Donald Trump. That's weird. I'm seeing him smile, but you know when you smile like this, it's like a bit of a forced smile. I'm feeling there's tension behind the smile. Okay. 3 cards for Trump. The 3 of Pentacles. Admiring a work well done. Okay. A craftsman admiring a work well done. You could read that a number of different ways, couldn't you? But that's, you know, that is the traditional meaning of the card. It's like an artisan, somebody who's crafted something. And also somebody who's usually crafted something with other people's help. Donald Trump. The King of Cups. Trump often comes up as the King of Cups in my readings. I'm sure that's happened before. Okay? So he's an interesting mix. Actually, on the bottom is the King of Swords as well. So actually, I'll take the King of Swords, although I'll take another card as well, because he's sort of both. Because I was just about to say, he doesn't. I think even his greatest admirers would say he doesn't always come across as the most. Just trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to trigger anybody. But it's like. Maybe not the most heart-centered person in the world, okay? In terms of policy, okay? You might disagree with that, it's just what I'm getting, okay? The King of Cups is very gentle, very loving, very sensitive. I mean, Trump isn't hugely sensitive in many ways. But yet, there is I've always said this, there's a side to him you don't see. He's more sensitive than he ever will let on to anybody. He's got a skin a bit like a rhino, you know. You'll never see it. He presents himself as the King of Swords, but actually he is the King of Cups as well. And I tell you what, two kings. He's at the moment, you know, today, 25th of March, he's feeling pretty secure. The king twice. Okay. See what else we get. Donald Trump. Have I already said this in this video? Because another thing that I got last night was that I know over the months we've met on this channel and also on other channels. There's been an energy of he may very well be removed before his time, okay? Whether that be via health, whether that be via impeachment, doesn't look like that's going to happen now, or via another means. Not wanting to dream that in, it's just something that has come up various times. But last night I really felt as though it was like, no, if he is removed from power, you may very well not want him removed from power. You might want him to come back in 2020 for another 4 years. That's your right, absolutely. But if you're one of the ones that are thinking, no, you know, can't have another 4 years of this, it has to be the people. It's the people that voted him in. It has to be the people that vote him out. I think there's something there with regard to that energy as well. But I know, I'm just going to throw that into the mix. Which is the way it should be, of course, you know? It's strange. The last two presidents, Obama was the same. I remember when Obama came into power, almost from day one, people were worrying about, you know, was he going to make 4 years? People were worried about assassination in particular. I remember that. There was a real energy of worry about, was he going to be taken down in that way? And it seemed to follow him all the way through. You know, would he be able to carry through the whole presidency? And with Trump, it's not so much the assassination energy. It's more, which thank God didn't happen to Obama, but it's more sort of like there's always been this energy of will he complete the term? And maybe there's been a bit of a red herring there, actually. I don't know. Because what I heard last night is it's for the people to decide to either vote him back in or vote him back out. If you believe that Donald Trump is here to try and teach us something, and I absolutely 100% feel that that is the case, whether you love him or whether you don't like him, he's there to help us see our own shadows, our own triggers, to own that. And it's really difficult sometimes to do that, but that is his job. That's his job at a personal level. You might believe he has a a bigger role collectively to take down the deep state or anything else, or to fulfill his own agenda if you don't like the guy. But at a personal level, whether you like him or you dislike him, he's absolutely there for you to look at yourself. Okay, he's a reflection of what is within us. And if that is the case, which I believe is, then he will either be voted back in because there's still more work to do on that, more integration, just more needing to be done, or the people will think, no, we've either had enough and we want to get out halfway through the healing process, or thank you very much, we've learned what we needed to we've learned what we needed to learn. Now we're going to move on to another energy, whoever that may be. Let's just pull 2 more cards for him. I've got 3 out. You know, I like my 5s. And then I want to get this video up so it's topical for today. Six of Cups. And I don't even know what's on there. I don't even know what they are. I'm just going to pull 1 more. My battery's about to conk out. 1 more card for Trump. 6 of Cups is looking back, nostalgia. Oh, I know what that is. Oh, and then he's got money. The 6 of Cups, at the moment, he's feeling like he did when he first won the election. Everybody loves me, is his feeling. That's how he's feeling. He's feeling loved again. He's feeling vindicated. He's feeling appreciated. But we've also got the 4 of Pentacles. This is about hoarding on to something. There's a man here hoarding on to money. But I will say there is also this rather Grim Reaper type energy sort of hovering over the person who's clinging on to the money. Bottom of the pack, we've got the, what is that? It's the 6, yeah, it's the 6 of Wands. He's feeling victorious. He's absolutely feeling victorious and vindicated. Okay, red light flashing, my battery is about to die. I only wanted this to be a quick little video to come on and say hello to you all. My next video is going to be Prince, something completely different, and I'm really looking forward to doing his energy. So lots of love, everyone. Remember, on my channel, on my page, we are all in this together, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, I really don't care. I see who you are at soul level, and I honour who you are at soul level. Please honour other people on this page as well. We're a community, and we will be able to talk about controversial subjects, and we will learn and we'll grow from it all. Okay, much love. Beautiful day out there. I'm going to get out into it now. Bye bye for now. Bye.